Well, should we do the thing?
I don't. I'm actually just waiting for you to scream my name so I can be ready for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe we change it. Maybe I don't scream your name today. Maybe we just like become Dan.
God damn.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Hot and Hauter podcast. I'm Arti.
And I'm Dan.
Every episode, I give Dan a recipe, and we find out if it's
A success.
or a disaster.
Nevertheless, it's bound to be an adventure. Let's get to cooking. Hey, how's it going, Arti?
It's going well. How about you? How you doing?
I've lost a little bit of hearing, but I'm okay now. I'm
That's
good.
okay. You got 2 ears.
Yeah, sure.
There's enough decibels between the two. That sounds science-y.
I don't think that's how it works.
You know what? You're probably right.
There's enough decibels between the two.
I don't know. I don't know what hearing is. Is it hertz? Decibels?
And
Kilometers? I don't know.
just stick with cooking, Arti. Stick with cooking.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So, long day.
It was a long day, but
Yeah.
actually some good food to cap it off.
There you go.
Everything is like greasy now though because of
Mhm.
how much lard you had me put into this thing.
Yep.
Before we jump into the dish, I want to set something straight with regards to portions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to make me diabetic or die of heart disease in any way, shape, or form?
You mean live a good life?
Because I am super skeptical every time I go to the grocery store and you tell me to buy, tell me through these recipe sheets
Yeah.
that I need 6 pounds of pork butt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as much as pork butt is delicious and enjoyable,
Yeah.
it's me, my wife, and a finicky eater 6-year-old. I am literally, the amount of food you make me make, I am cooking for an army.
Well, okay. So you can cut it in half. The
Okay.
recipe? You can
Yes.
do that.
But don't you design these recipes with me solely in mind? And then you alter them after the episode for the general public.
No.
So you're
From the ground
All right.
running, I make these for people to feed lots of people.
but you have solely expressed in the last episode or 2 episodes ago that you strategically leave out instructional information to kind of see how I navigate the waters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the portioning is designed for a small banquet.
Where's that button I needed? Common sense! Common sense!
That's going to have to be something I get you. Okay.
Okay.
Well, then
Going
I have
forward,
ahead.
I will make 2 versions.
No. I don't want you to do extra
Okay,
work, but
okay.
I need to clarify something.
Yeah.
Because having done this enough, I realize that if I half everything, if I just go down the recipe and
Mhm.
half everything, that won't necessarily yield the same results. I believe there are certain elements to a recipe that you don't necessarily like the main protein. That makes sense. You'd half
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Then like when you get into like the seasoning and some of the finer minutia with regards to what, the little extra things.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between having that and just what's the appropriate ratio?
So in my experience, the easiest way to do this is just half whatever the protein is or whatever the main ingredient is, and everything else can stay the same
Okay.
because it's not going to alter the flavor that much at all.
Okay.
You won't notice it. No one will notice it.
Okay.
So, but
Well-
that's really the only part you have to have is if you want a smaller amount, just have the main protein, main ingredient, and everything else can stay the same. When you're trying to drop
Okay.
it on like quarters and stuff, that's when you have to mess with everything else.
Sure.
But like,
And-
if you
and
just
I-
have it, you're good.
And I think that just like as always comes with experience, and
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
you know what needs to be halved
Yeah.
and what doesn't need to be halved.
Yeah.
And again, you're it's not like you're inaccessible. You're inaccessible to me when I'm doing this. I'll send questions to you every now and
Yeah.
then. But okay, so now that we've got that cleared up, I'm really trying to lose weight over here, Artie. You're
mean,
not helping.
join the club.
Or I guess my inability to read the fine print isn't helping. All right, so this week you have tasked me with carnitas.
Yes.
Carnitas, and I got some stuff I want to talk about after you get through your history of it, because a lot of similarities with this in previous dishes we've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to get into that later. You go ahead. What's carnitas?
Okay, so carnitas.
Oh.
I'll start with I mean, there's no true history to it because it's one of those foods that's been around for so long, kind of like ravioli, like a lot of the dishes we do.
Yeah.
That are like made by, you know, the people, everyone. It's not like a fine dining thing.
Sure.
So it's might have to start changing this to folklore, but so
gather round, children, listen to the tale.
So the lore of carnitas. So in 1521, Hernan Cortez hosted a banquet at his place in Coyoacan to celebrate the fall of, I'm sorry with the names, Tenochtitlan and the Aztec Empire. He butchered a pig and cooked it in what was available, its own lard, then served it to his guests with Toxiclan cornbread. I'm sure I butchered that. And that's like the folklore behind carnitas. So carnitas translates to little meats. I see you over there laughing at me.
Sorry. I'm sure there's some Latino based, Latino
like,
heritage people out there just like cringing.
Right. They're like, oh my God, these people.
He's in North California, folks. It's not the Southern California.
Right. Hey, Sacramento, my friend. Born from Sacramento, a middle ground.
Hey, look, I'm just saying.
So it translates to little meats and is a dish in Mexican cuisine, of course. And it so the origins of it is from, as I said before,
it's like Aztecan, right?
Yeah, no, it's not Aztecan, it's Mexican. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. So try that again. So
I can get you an aneurysm counter,
right? So it's actual origination, I don't know, I guess you'd say state is I'm gonna try to do this right. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for all these names I have to say. Mikochakan. I think I kind of hit it.
Isn't that like part of a cell?
I don't. Are you talking? You talking about like a mitochondrion? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, listen. All right. God, can't even get through a history without you laughing at me here.
I'm shut up.
Jeez. So, and it's as before. It's made by braising pork in its own fat, and you serve it. Tortilla and all the sides, whatever onion, salsa, and all that jazz. And that's it. That's the lore or history of carnitas.
So it's so just not a quote a generic, but such a staple that it's hard to trace its pure origin.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's which a lot of these foods they've been around for so long that it's hard to say, oh, this person made it here at this time, and everyone knows that because it's a word of mouth thing, just as most things are.
Yeah, no, and it's very cultural, obviously, very cultural.
Yeah.
The abundance of pigs, did that, I think back to the birria and how that was all, we just had a bunch of goats, so we might as well do something with them.
Yeah.
I assume this is kind of in that same vein.
It is. So which I don't know when this would have taken place, but it's again Spaniards came over, brought pigs, dropped them off there. So
Okay.
so that's why there were a ton of them, just like when we were talking about Beria with the goats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it was pig is such I love pig. You know, all parts of pig. It's all delicious. You know, especially bacon, obviously. The candy of food.
Yeah.
This dish, to be honest, if I do Mexican cuisine, I don't typically go towards pig or cow. I'm more of a chicken kind of guy when it comes to Mexican food. But this was a really good dish. I really enjoyed this. And if you're not cooking 6 pounds of it in 4 pounds of lard, it's actually it's actually not as intensive. And the cleaning process is probably significantly less. But at the end of the day, this is one of those dishes like those other two, the birria and then the sweet pork that we did before as well.
Yeah,
those smells are just incredible.
Yeah,
and it's slow roasts or broils. What is the term? Braise?
Yeah, you're braising it.
Okay.
You're braising the pig in its own fat.
Yes. And that was what kind of threw me for a loop, was the fact that I didn't put any water in this thing. There was no water. And I told my wife, and she says, "Is that just you're just cooking it in lard?" And she made a face like, "I don't know if I'm okay with this, but it still smells so amazing." There was this juxtaposition going on where she was on this, I don't know what to do here. But it is again, not going into the depth of the recipe just yet. It is a really good dish. Pretty easy, I would say, with regards.
It's not hard.
Yeah, complexity wise. I feel like we need to put a scale out as in like impossible for Daniel to make, or Daniel can make in his sleep. I don't know if we need to do some kind of
kitchen burnt, kitchen okay.
Family still lives with him. But no, so I'll make it quick. Getting into the recipe, pretty straightforward. We actually came into a difference of not opinion, but difference of approach. We were kind of under the gun with time when it came to this dish, and a part of it, the opening part of it, basically, you need to rub the pork down with salt, and then you need to. It says overnight.
Yeah. And
you came at me with, we need to try to get this, if we can, try to get this done tonight, which would have been anyway. Yeah. And I wasn't able to make it work, but you went ahead and you said you went with like 2 hours instead of overnight. Like, what was your process there?
At the end, I coated this thing in salt. We'll dry it off first, then coat it in salt, and then let it sit in the fridge, open air, on its own shelf. I think it was 7 hours.
Oh, some people that is overnight.
Yeah. So it got plenty of time. Like the actual the what you're supposed to do is 20. I think it's 12 to 24 hours is the
okay.
Like, this is what you should do. I did 7. Was perfectly fine.
What is going on during this process with the salt and the exposure, or you say open air? Well, you did open air, but then on mine it said sealed container. Like,
yes.
What's the science and stuff behind that?
So all you're doing is drying the pork out. You're just sucking all the moisture out. That's the whole purpose of this part. So that's why I did open air, because it was a shorter amount of time. I packed a thing with salt so that the open air was helping dry it out.
Okay.
So that's why I did open air. If you do it for like the 12 to 24, yeah, you close it up, like seal it away.
Because the salt is enough for that extended period of time?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember, I have to go back through my footage, but I don't remember technically like wiping it down. I remember I saw some of your footage where you were actually like blotting it and just kind of getting some of the loose moisture off the top. But I mean, at the end of the day, the salt should do enough. Having never, this sounds kind of dirty, having never rubbed my meat.
Wow.
How much?
PG, buddy. PG. Kids listen to this.
How much seasoning are you supposed to put on the design? You know, and I'm assuming it changes depending on what dish you're preparing.
By seasoning, do you mean salt?
Well, yes, like when everyone says like a rub, you can go
Uh-huh.
down your spice aisle and you can find all these different rubs, or people have
Hmm.
versions of their own rubs that they take
Yeah.
different things. But in general, what's the approach to too much, not enough? Like, how do you know?
I mean, when it comes to meat, there is no general approach. You want to coat the thing. You want it
Okay.
coated. Because what that spice is doing is it's penetrating the muscle fiber and getting into the meat. So
Okay.
that flavor goes through it. And so and all these have salt in. The other purpose of salt helps it break down the muscle fiber as well, and also gives it flavor and dries it out. So it's like this combination of things happening.
Okay.
But yeah, I
Well,
mean, it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're smoking something and you want like that nice bark, you want that thing coated. You want a thick outer layer of spices. If
mhm.
you're just doing what we did, you just want to give it a nice coating. Not like you don't want like thick. You just want salt on all the surface. And that's fine. So it just depends on what you're doing.
Okay. Well, then I would say that I was okay with that. You can check
Hmm.
my footage whenever you get a chance to. But I mean, I tried to cover all the sides, not just the
Yeah.
tops and bottoms, but the edges and all that.
Hmm.
And then I just 6 pounds of pork. I put it in two separate baking dishes and just let it sit in the fridge covered
Hmm.
for about 17 hours,
Yeah.
18
Oh
hours.
yeah, perfect.
And then you take it out and you let it rest for a little bit to let it get back up to room temperature.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that just kind of helps further tenderize it, or is that just what does
It
that
helps with
do?
it helps with the cooking process. So if
How
you're cooking
so?
something cold, it takes longer for the
That makes
heat to
sense.
transfer.
Yeah.
And if it's at room temperature, it just heats up quicker. That's just what it is.
Well, and then I cut it up into smaller chunks
Yes.
as well. I cut it up
Hmm.
into like 2 to 3 inch cubes,
Yeah.
loosely. Um, and so then came the cheesecloth.
Hmm.
So I still had some cheesecloth left over from the birria tacos because we
Hmm.
did a similar spice on spice purse, whatever you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
call it. We threw it in there,
Spice bag.
and spice bag, sure. And this one was a little bit more girthy in content. And you had like a whole you had a whole head of garlic in there,
Yeah.
and
Cut that in half.
and I thought that was interesting. You cut it horizontally
Yes.
across to
Hmm.
expose all the cloves inside.
Hmm.
Um, is that just to get that garlicky nature
Yeah.
into the mix? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was some kind of like ritualistic thing you had me do.
And
No, you must cut it horizontally, and you
cut.
must be Venus in the fourth house. And I don't know, Artie.
You need 3 drops of garlic oil on your forehead.
Um,
May the garlic gods bless this pork.
so I thought that was interesting. So, and then Mexican oregano. I didn't know that there was a specific
Hmm.
nationality of oregano. I thought oregano
Yeah.
was oregano, but sure enough, there was oregano and Mexican oregano,
Yeah.
and separation of shelf space for the two
Yeah.
of them. So, is that something you can make in general, or is that always synonymous with just a separate?
They have different flavor profiles. So regular oregano is more, not earthy, like leafy, more herbaceous, I guess is the best way I can say it.
Okay.
And Mexican oregano has a citrusness to it.
I guess it seemed like it was dried too, like it was more dried out.
Oh, that's probably just how they processed it, but
Oh, okay.
but yeah, so it aids to the citrus of the whole flavor profile because Mexican
Okay.
oregano is more citrusy.
Cool. I talked about the garlic, an orange. You had me
Mhm.
cut like half of an orange.
Yeah.
And my orange actually went rogue. My cheesecloth bag failed me at about 20
Yeah.
minutes left to go,
Happened to me too.
and so I came back one time to stir, and there's just this orange bobbing over here, and like, no, f you bag, I'm gonna hang out over here.
I'm pork. What are you talking about? We're both the same color. Look at us.
So but it was disintegrating. It had been in
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
and braising, and that
Which
was
is
kind of
fine.
cool.
Which is fine.
Okay. Well, because I was going to ask about foreign contents. I mean, you've got like the garlic clove
Mhm.
paper. You've got I mean, the cinnamon sticks, those kind of just broke down for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. The bag is just kind of to keep everything contained so it doesn't get all over. But if
Mhm.
something comes out, it comes out. Just is what it is. It's not a big
Okay.
deal.
I didn't
Because you pull the
really
pork out of
think
it anyways. So
exactly. And so yeah, you specifically asked for kitchen twine.
mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was such thing as kitchen twine.
Yeah.
I just assumed twine was twine. I didn't know that.
Clearly, you're not in the twine game, my man.
I need to step it up. All right, my cord game needs to improve. Yeah, but that was pretty much that. Then came the lard, and
Mm-hmm.
this big old 4-pound tub of lard. And the only other time I've ever messed with lard in my life was at a summer camp. Stick with me. Was at a summer camp where we participated in a game where you had to get into a swimming pool, and they coated a watermelon in lard, and then you had to try to get the watermelon out of the pool.
Oh, okay.
And so like it was actually really hysterical. I suggest you try it.
It sounds funny. No,
it is very funny.
I'm good.
Give it to just okay. Anyway, but this was a game that we put on for like the young campers, and they were trying to. It was a challenge to get it out of the pool.
Yeah.
And that was the only experience I've had, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it because it got everywhere, and no matter how hard you scrape and wash, and you just can't get rid of it.
Yep.
And now I'm looking at this 4-pound tub of lard.
Whoa,
So
PTSD.
a little bit.
No, I don't want to get the watermelon. What are you talking about, Dad? Nothing. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Nothing.
My wife comes in. What are you yelling about? So you throw that in there, and of course it melts, and you warm that up, and then you throw in some brown sugar, and you throw in the pork chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Couple questions.
Okay.
With the spice bag and the brown sugar and the lard turning into basically a cooking oil that you're using it for.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of drying out the meat if you're just going to expose it to such a liquid solution there? Like, are you trying to replace the moisture that has left with all these other ingredients? Like, if you're trying to dry it out and then you're trying to saturate it again with I'm assuming that's what you're doing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Saturating with
the lard and the melted lard and all the ingredients and spices and stuff.
So you're not saturating it with the lard.
You're not.
No, the lard is frying the meat.
It's just cooking it, but something gets in there, right? Because this meat was juicy.
Yeah, but the difference is one is like liquid water and one is fat.
Okay.
So the reason you dry out the pork is so that the liquid doesn't get into the super hot oil and explode.
Oh, well, okay. I'm glad it didn't explode.
Yeah, and also if water, what you'll see is if water gets into oil at a low enough temperature and then the oil will heat up, you'll start to see the bubble and fizz, and it kind of just interferes with the cooking process. Because what it has to do is then evaporate that water before it can start cooking what's in the oil. So that's why you dry it out, just for the cooking process.
Well, then I guess I kind of got my whole thinking about meat. My biggest understanding of meat is kind of coming from steaks, where you want to have the steak juicy and you want it to have all of the, I guess, flavor profile be in that juice. Yeah. And I was assuming, this is me obviously assuming, and I'm not the best at it, but if you wanted to dry it out because you wanted to replace it with more flavorful stuff. But I guess if it's more just for a cooking sciencey thing, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I was just confused why you want to go through the effort of drying it out just to expose it to a very viscous material again.
Oh yeah. It's because one is liquid and one is fat. That's
okay.
That's it. That's the difference. There's no like it's not like related, I guess. I'm not trying to. I have to make sure I'm saying this right. So yeah.
Well, the fat does help the flavor.
Yeah. It aids to the flavor of the food, whereas the liquid inside the meat, the watery stuff, the blood, the hemoglobin, all that jazz, doesn't. Yeah. And so you want to get all that out.
Okay. Okay. Well, as I was doing this, and you mentioned it earlier with the salt and drying it out, I was
Hmm.
kind of, well, you're just putting it back in a liquid, but I mean, yes, that makes sense. One of those everybody knows this, Dan. Why don't you situations?
No, no,
All
that's a
right.
good question because everyone doesn't know that.
Well, now I'm not one of those people. Haha.
There you go.
So the brown sugar, obviously a flavor profile
Yes.
as well.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, couldn't put it in the bag because it would just seep through. I get that. And then you said to let it, and this was another thing that we kind of differed. And you gave me some advice since you did it one night before. You
Yeah.
said just cook it low or medium all the way through,
Yes.
because the way that the recipe is set up, you start high
Hmm.
and you drop to medium,
Yeah.
and then you go to low.
Yes.
What happened there with you, and why did you change that?
So I have an induction top. Worst thing ever. It. I shouldn't say it's the worst thing ever. I'm just not used to it yet. So induction goes 0 to 100. It's either hot or it's not hot. So
Sure.
what happened, and also it burns hotter than a normal stovetop would. I don't know why. Don't know the science behind it. So I cooked mine. Excuse me. So I cooked mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed the normal recipe. And what happened is at the end of the high portion, it had been slightly overcooked. So it was darker than it should have been. It was a little too crispy. So what I had to do is I had to pull it out at that point, and it didn't pull apart. I had to then chop it up. So the benefit of it is if you're into the crispy chunks in carnitas, I had those in it, but
Okay.
it dried it out a bit. So that's why I told you just do it medium the whole time, because that's a happy middle ground. Because if you're
Okay.
just doing medium the full time, you're not dealing with the simmer on high, then drop to medium, then low. You're just doing a consistent heat the whole way through, which will break down any muscle fiber meat.
Okay.
And I'm assuming it worked.
For me,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was, well, I mean, not as experienced as you,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say it was golden. You
Mhm.
you picked a golden. It starts red and ends kind of purplish. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, but there, I mean, there were some parts that were like more brown and golden, but it was done. I could tell it was done
Yeah.
by the way that the texture and it was
Yeah.
falling apart. It was amazing.
And that's what you want at
But
the end, is that.
yes, and that's what I was looking for primarily, because
Yeah.
you're saying you're looking for like some kind of like golden brown, and I'm just seeing a bunch of like dull purples and maybe some darker.
Mhm.
So, but it was fine. Yeah, I think my whole process, I never, 1 through 10 on the dial, I never
Mhm.
got above 5.5, 5,
Yeah.
and it was a nice steady even bubble all the way across.
Good.
And it never really, I turned it down a little bit at the end because it said to go to low, and I
Mhm.
just let it simmer a little bit more. But I could
Mhm.
tell by squeezing the meat periodically how soft it was. I walked right into that one. All right, moving on.
All right.
So,
Awkward.
no, is 90 minutes the mark? Is there room for error? Is, like you said, yours was cooking too much or too fast?
Yes.
So walk me through that.
So the first cook time is 90 minutes. That's when it's cooked and it starts to get it's supposed to get like a caramelization on the outside of it, and then you drop
Okay.
it to the low for the remaining, I think it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 to 30.
So there is room for both error and improvement in this recipe, and it depends on what you're cooking on, what you're cooking with. And as I said in my case, the induction kind of screwed it up. I saved it because I saw what was happening. I'm like, okay, let's stop this. Let's get it out. It didn't pull apart, but well, it didn't. Like I could physically pull it apart and it would come apart, but since it was crunchy, had like some nice crunch to it, it wasn't like fall apart. So that
Okay.
and that some people like. So we had our friends over, Beck, Pete, and their kids, and Beck said she liked it because she likes crunchy carnitas, so she was very into it. Everyone said they liked it. So Joelle liked it, my wife liked it, kids liked it, everyone ate. It was good. it comes to, I was in my perfectionist mode where I'm like, this is not what I wanted. It didn't come out how I wanted. I am upset. But it was good. Anyone who would have eaten it would have been like, yeah, these are good. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Okay.
So
I just got a mental picture of Artie standing in his kitchen going, I don't like this. This isn't right.
I was just like, ooh, you pork. You're pissing me off. Not doing what I want.
So you're a pretty chill guy for everything else I know you, and so this is kind of a different avenue for me getting to know you with regards to, with food. So I'm curious, the first time we're in person, like seeing you work and like if something doesn't go your way, because I've never really seen you, besides yelling at a video game, which everybody does from time to time. I've never seen you upset.
I mean, you put me in a jumping puzzle and you're gonna piss me off. That's what it is. Okay. You listening, Destiny? Stop with the jumping puzzles.
Well, that's a video game anyway. The continuing on, mine was fall apart. I picked it up with a fork, and it was already its own weight was just splitting itself.
That's what you want. That's the whole end point is that.
Okay. And it was that dull gray. It wasn't like the golden brown that I was supposed to be looking for, but it was doing what it was supposed to do from what the other word said. And
so then in your case, what I would have done is when you said you dropped it to low, I would have kept it at medium or even put it on high for that last 20 or 30 minutes. Because then you would have got the caramelization, the crunchiness to it, but not like the overcookedness.
Like a sear?
Yeah, exactly. So you would have got nice and fall apart cooked.
Ooh.
Words not happening. So you would have got the fall apart, consistency. But then if you add that extra 20 or 30 on high, then you get like that nice golden brown, that caramelization that I was talking about.
So the crunchy on the outside, but the tender on the inside.
So you get both. So it will still fall apart, but it'll have that nice like crunch to it.
Okay. That's the minutia that that comes with experience.
Yeah,
interesting.
Okay. This is what you learn as you cook more.
Okay. Well, again, the smells were amazing. Took it out of the pot, drained it a lot because so much fat. Yeah. And threw it on the board. Used the Wolverine tools. Had a lot of fun with that. That's always fun. That's always enjoyable. And it just like after 2 or 3 swipes, it just looked like pulled pork, kind of. You know what I mean? It looked like
that's essentially what it is. It's pulled pork. Yeah, but in little chunks.
Little meat. It was good. It was really good. Wife had a shoot and she had the kid with her, so I kind of had the first dish all by myself, and it was good. I made a little Mexican rice. I found a little recipe on the internet, and I'm not big into super heavy spices and stuff. I'm not a heavy pepper kind of guy. I do bells and stuff, but I don't do jalapenos or any of that nonsense. And so I just got a nice gentle Mexican rice with a little bit. Is it cumin?
Yeah, cumin
and some salt and just enough to make it have a little bit of a Mexican flavor. And I put the carnitas on top of it and just enjoyed it that way.
Nice. Yeah. So, hey, if it's good, it's good. That's the end goal. If it was tasty, then you did good. That's all you can hope for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not vomiting, so I'm good.
He says as he runs off camera.
No, I'm good. So, I mean, besides the couple hiccups you had in yours, how was yours?
So it was good. Like you said, the dish is easy to make. It's not hard to make. It's just another time-consuming thing that you need to watch. And the biggest thing is learn how the meat changes over a period of time being cooked, and then you can recognize, pull it out a little longer, this and that.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. Turned out good. Everyone ate it, like I said, and yeah, carnitas are delicious. Just so everyone knows, you don't have to make carnitas in lard. We did this because it's the authentic way, and also it's a way to throw a curveball at Dan. You can do these in crock pots. You can braise it in water with all these spices and such. There are other recipes out there to do it in an easier way and still come out delicious. But the whole point of us doing this is like we're trying to be as authentic as we can with these recipes. So
sure. You just like the fact that you can still, after 11 episodes, send me to the grocery store not knowing where in the hell I'm supposed to go for something. I had to ask a guy. Excuse me, sir, where do you keep your lard? I didn't know it. I thought maybe it was a refrigerated item. Nope, it's just out in, it's down by the oils and short, like your Crisco's and stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah. There's two places. It's usually, if you're ever looking for lard, don't look for it. Don't look for lard in all the wrong places, though. I'm sorry, that was bad.
No, that was actually really good. I liked it.
So, thank you. So usually by a meat counter, you'll find lard, or where vegetable oil and peanut oil and all that jazz is. Those are the two places it's going to be.
Yeah, that's where I found it. Oh, no, it was good. What would you do? I did rice. I think you did tacos.
Yes, we did tacos.
What other serving bases would you put this on?
Just a tortilla. Or you could like make a salad or something out of it. I just always go with tacos, or you can make a burrito out of it. We do a little onion, a little cilantro. Easy.
Yeah.
Simplicity. Let the flavor do the talking. Your hands
it makes sense.
Walking to your face. And you eat it. Because that's how you do with food.
That's how you do with food. I could even see this for like breakfast with some eggs.
Yeah. It's pig.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Dessert? Sure. Candy it. I mean, who cares? Pig all day. All day, every meal. You won't live long, but hey, it'll be tasty.
You'll have a good time, though. That's what counts, right? It'll be a shorter time, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Just intensify. Just intense.
Chock full of arm pain and doctor's visits. That's
it. No biggie. You're good.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward dish. Nothing super crazy. Really good.
Yeah.
I could see myself doing this, obviously in smaller quantities.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too bad. And like you said earlier, a lot of these dishes just require an extended prep time.
Yes.
With regards to 24 hours or 12-hour overnight having this cure or whatever that term is for that. And just getting ready and planning ahead.
Yeah, that's a lot of these hard meals that people think are hard to make. It's just prep. Most of the time is prep, and the cooking process actually isn't that difficult. It's really not.
Yeah.
And once you get over that, I don't know, this is a lot. Just because there's a lot of ingredients doesn't mean it's hard. That just means there's some spices and this and that you throw together, and then you cook it together, and you're good. I mean, there's like what? Very few ways you can cook something. You can bake it, you can barbecue it, you can fry it or stovetop, and there's sous vide, which one day we'll touch on.
That's like, do I need more equipment for that?
Yes, you do.
Oh no. Okay.
That's down the line. But yeah, there's limited ways you cook things, and they're all relatively easy. It's just watching it and make sure you don't burn.
Sure. I mean, it's all about manipulating temperature and molecules. I get that. And you've given me...
It's molecules and shit.
It is. Well, you've given me 14 different ways of terms for just boiling something, literally. And so it's a matter of understanding that all those different concepts boil down to these basic principles.
Yeah.
And how you approach them. And then what I'm seeing is the different cultural influences and flavors that make each dish more unique to its own, to its own person preparing it as well as the person consuming it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. That's all I got, brother.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah, we did. I'm much more comfortable once I'm not a dwarf compared to you on the last video.
My name is Dan, and I made pasta.
All right. Well, where can they all find us? All the peoples.
Well, thanks for asking, Dan. Let me inform you. You can find us in our audio version in all the places you listen to podcasts. We also now have video. You can find that on YouTube. And that's it. Anticlimactic. And also we have a website, hautandhauter.com.
There you go.
It's just food, you guys. It's just food. Okay.
It is just food.
Just food.
The time is coming up where we're gonna hopefully we'll start cycling in maybe some listener requested or listener idea dishes. So if you want to reach out to us, whether in the comments below, through the website, we're on social media with regards to Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and all those things. Twitter. Just if you find us and you find our hastily created but awesome logo of our faces, love them. First of all, click the like and then send us some messages. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see. And we will definitely try to do that, because we've got a lot of ideas, and we got summer's here, and we both got kids at the house, and we're trying to make sure we fill our time with stuff that's productive.
Yes, productive being the key word there.
Okay. All right, that's all I got, man.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and keep cooking, y'all. Bye.
So dumb. I feel like you're mocking me.
No, I'm not mocking you.
Gives you that idea.